How is everybody doing today? I got another Ender 3 Pro here that I bought just for doing some development work on, testing out all sorts of boards. I got tired of dealing with random ones or, having to pull apart machines, so I got another one here. I just realized my fill light's not on, so... Oh, there we go. That's better. Although, this window is open. Hey, Google, close the blinds. Let my computer overlords take care of that for me. So, brand new machine. Now, this was bought on Amazon 2 days ago. So, now one thing I do want to note is that there's a FedEx label on here where they sent this to Amazon for fulfillment, and the ship date on this says May 20th, or May 2020. So 9 of May. So this has been sitting in the warehouse for a little bit. It's September right now. So I'm going to predict that this has the 114 or 115 board in it. I don't think this is going to have the 422. Now, if it has the 422, it'll be really interesting to me. Oh, is my Comcast screwing up? That'd be fantastic if it is. Oh, we had a drop off there for a sec. But anyways, it looks like we're okay now. So, I guess my FPS are too powerful for YouTube here today. But yeah, I have one that we just got in. I believe the seller was Auto, T-O-A-U-T-O. But it was fulfilled by Amazon. So I would be using the desk here, but Joel is working on some Enders right here. And I'm going to use my secondary camera arm here. So you guys will have to listen to me complain about how the autofocus doesn't work because this is a Logitech camera. So this literally just came in about an hour ago. And I have no idea what version is going to be in here. So I figured it'd be fun. I got to build this anyways. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, qualified certificate. Wow. Oh, here we go. Yeah, 2 Auto. So they put a little thing in here. How to actually... Oh, this is... that's legit when they have a Gmail address for contacting the company. I'm just saying. I'll put my... here we go. Let's bring me back there in the corner. All right. Let's see what we got. And like I predicted, it's a 114. So... get that out of here. So, because that ship date was May, we do have the old board. So this is the problem. You guys have no idea what you're buying until it gets here. You could have the new board, which does not need a bootloader, because it has one, it's 32-bit. Print quality, there's not going to be much difference. But the bootloader, in my opinion, is a big deal, because especially with newer users, it's another thing to do, and you have to buy hardware to do that, which we do sell. We have bootloader kits, but you have no idea what you're getting. Yes, I'm aware Creality has 32 bits boards for sale. I purchased one on the last stream. Here's the 427. Come on, Logitech, focus. See, this is why I spent $700 on Sony cameras, because Sony actually knows how to make autofocus that works. Look, it's not focusing at all. Anyways, this is their aftermarket board. This is not a stock board. This is a 32-bit board they make that has Trinamic 2225s on it. But I digress. So that's the problem. You could be getting one with the new board, or you could be getting one with the old board. And whatever you get, you're stuck with. So you could change the board, but you guys know what I mean. If I had to choose, I much would rather have the newer 32-bit board, but you have no idea what you're getting. And depending on how long that stock has been sitting there, like this has been sitting there since May. Which is why I made that prediction that this is probably going to have the old board in it. And I would assume that if you order direct from Creality, you're probably going to get the 422. But with these Amazon fulfillment sellers, those printers sit in the warehouse for months and months and months, and you don't know what you get until it gets here. Now, would I return the printer just because it doesn't have the 422? No, probably not. But just know what you're getting yourself into. Like I said, I purchased this one just so I have an Ender 3 here, solely for the purpose of testing out firmware and different boards. So I'm not messing with a production machine, and they're cheap enough, so that's what this one's life is going to be. It's gonna be having its board swapped quite a bit. So yeah, let's go through and build this and chat and hang out. Oh yeah, they always have the beds loose. So, and then we got the floppy magnet. I might replace this. I might not. Like I said, it's not going to be actually used for printing. It's going to be used for testing. So I might just leave this on here. I mean, these work. They're not as good as the magnetic metal ones that we carry, but they're functional. As long as you don't go over 60C. Oh, you go over 60C and these magnets just give up. So, all right. Lead screw. We're going to go ahead and build this, and I'm not going to look at any directions because I've built like 30 of these things at least at this point. I'm pretty sure Joel's built 5, and I'm pretty sure he could put one together without directions at this point. Yeah, these magnetic beds are fine for starting out, but they're not good. Hence why we sell upgraded ones. So let's go ahead and get all of our extrusions unwrapped here. I mean, what do you guys think? We got 37 people watching. Would you be upset if you ordered Ender 3 Pro and you got the 114 board instead of the 422? Or are you just finding out that this is a thing right now? Because Creality, as far as I know, has not publicized it. And I don't think they will, because they're going to get people wanting to return printers with these older boards. Now, if you're buying it to replace it with like an easy board or something, it really doesn't matter what board comes in it, because everything else on the machine is the same. So, but oh, Brian Locke's in here, which I gotta email you back and get more of those power blockers on the way. But this is just a casual stream. Don't be expecting anything crazy. Literally just gonna be hanging out, putting this together, and then once this is together, I'll be wrapping the stream up. So, wanna ask some questions and whatnot? Go right ahead. So yeah, if there's a video I posted on this channel a couple days ago where I showed that we bought 5 from Amazon, and 3 of the 5 had the old board, and 2 had the new one. Wait, are these the right bolts? Are they long? Oh yeah, I was like, wait, these are the top ones. I was like, these don't look long enough. It's because they're the wrong ones. There we go. Let's go ahead and get that through there. There's one. There's 2. Now, when I assemble these, everybody's got their own ways of assembling them. When I assemble them, I always like to leave these loose. I'll start them by hand like I'm doing now, but I will not tighten them down until I get the gantry all on and the upper portion, or the top rail, whatever you want to call it, until I get that on, just because I want to make sure everything's square. Really should grab my T-handles. Is that the right one? It is. So, yeah. If you buy an Ender 3 Pro, I don't know if the Ender 3s are shipping with the 422s. I have confirmation from customers and our own experience that the Pros are shipping with the 422s. I don't know if the regular Ender 3s are or not. But you're not going to know until it shows up. I would suggest that if you want to get the latest board, your best bet would probably be ordering from Creality directly. But, you know, Amazon Prime, try not to order too much stuff through them, but sometimes they just got what you need and can get there fast. So I'm not fully tightening these up, so I can still move this, but it's not completely tight. So this is usually what I do just so I have some play and I can come back and square everything up. If you guys haven't watched the Ender 3 Performance assembly video from the Edge of Tech, I highly recommend that. He's got a lot of good pointers on assembling these machines in his video guides. So there we go. That's still got some wiggle. So does that. Yeah, we got more dual Z kits on the way for them. I would be putting one on here on this stream just for shits and giggles, but we are out of stock. I don't even have any in the shop as far as I know. Unless Aaron's hiding some from me. Brian is rocking the OG Ender 3 Pro. I don't print a lot though. That's disappointing. You should be printing a lot. Yeah, I would assume we'll have them by the end of the month. They take a couple weeks to get manufactured, and we ordered them about a week ago, I want to say. So I just got to make sure I get this on the right side. So you've got these little cutouts here for the heads of these bolts on the brackets. You want to make sure you put this side, because if you can do it like this, but it's not going to sit flush. So you have to put it on the correct side. And is this the right hex driver? No, too big, 2.5. I need a 2.5, not a 3. There we go. Use a square if you're real picky. Yeah, I'm not that picky. I just go by feel and like visually lining everything up. So like I'm checking to make sure that this is flush with the top here. And it is. So I'm going to tighten these down. There we go. And now I need to get these on. Now, usually what I'll do is I'll put this on. And then put the screws in for this one while it's on the machine. Yeah, we have a CR6 on the way, but I'm still waiting on them to ship it. They might have already shipped it. I gotta check our email, but I didn't see anything when I checked this morning on the email that it would be sent to. Now, when you're putting your Ender 3 together, you want to make sure that these screws are tight, because this is what helps your gantry stay stable, and these screws suck. They're like rounding out, so Are we getting flex plates in for the Ender 5 Plus? We do carry that size. I don't know if we have stock on them right now or not. You can check our site. I don't know, Jerry. We'll when it's ready, we'll announce it. Can't rush things unless you want to, you know, have things that don't work correctly. We're not Creality, so I prefer to actually test the stuff. Hence why I literally bought a whole nother machine, literally just for testing firmware dev. So I have a printer I can take offline. Doesn't matter if it's broken or not or working. Literally, this machine is just going to be used for testing firmware builds and boards. Why is this not? There we go. So, this one screw, let me try the other one, see if I can get this one out. This one screw, the head rounded off right away. The other one didn't. So you know, quality. Made a color screen. Hey, the color screens are overrated. They look pretty, and that's it. Like the one on the Ender 3 Pro looks nice, or Ender 3 V2, sorry, but it's still a D-Win LCD, and there's no source code available for that. So you're at the mercy of the manufacturer for features. Okay, so that's moving nice. Let me go ahead and get the top on here. Use your qualified certificate as a coaster. It's not even a good coaster.
For a shot, maybe.
For a shot. Yeah, it might work for a shot. What might also work is using the correct size T-handle. You got a screw in. I don't know, I'm no expert, but probably use the right size T-handle. I don't own any BL Touches because I don't buy things that are garbage. All right, let's see. How's that feel? All right. Now, you want to move this up and down before you tighten this down because you can actually skew these in or out depending on how you tighten this, because there is some play in the hole, so you could actually have these too far in or too far out, and then when your gantry gets up towards the top, it binds. So it's moving smoothly. It feels like it's even, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down, and I don't crank them down right away. I do one and the other. If you've ever like put a tire on a car, you know, you go kind of around in a star pattern. Obviously there's only two here, but go back and forth. And what this will do is it'll make sure that as you tighten this, it doesn't skew this upright here. But if you want a good video, check out the Edgetech's Performance Assembly Guide. He has a lot of stuff on there that's good. Let me, there we go. Okay, so now here's the thing. This one's hitting before this one, so you can see here, the gantry is a little skewed. You want both these wheels to be hitting at the same time when it bottoms out up here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and loosen these up a little, just so I can skew this ever so slightly. Make sure it's actually make sure it's actually all lined correctly. So this one's hitting Both of these are hitting now. So I'm going to go ahead and just hold this and then tighten these back down. And do the whole opposing thing. So one side then the other. Get in here. These screws are garbage. Ugh. Okay, so now when I push this up to the top, it's hitting at the same time. So this gantry should be even. Ooh, I am feeling though some. Oh, it's probably because this is over tightened. I had an indicator to tell you which way was closer and which way was farther away. You gotta kind of just feel it. And even then, it's hard. You really don't. You get what you pay for. That's if you're someone that can get things running on your own, they're a good buy. They're not super reliable, but again, you get what you pay for. But if you expect any help from the company, you're going to be very disappointed with your purchase. Because it's basically non-existent aside from random people in their Facebook groups. All right. So I have one SKR board running here, and it's going to get replaced with a MKS soon. It's in my ABS machine that I rebuilt, and I was giving it a shot, and I've had a lot of lockups with it, and I don't know why. And quite frankly, I'm not going to try another one. I'm just going to put a different board. I actually have, that's what this is here. This is MKS S Gen L 2, and that's what's going to replace it. So I've got their S Gen L 1 in a machine that's been running for a couple months now, with no issues. So I've in general had good luck with MKS's stuff. This is basically what Big Tree Tech copied. So I don't know if the first version of the S Gen L came out before the SKR, but MKS had the Gen L, which was a 2560 baseboard with the same layout, connectors, and whatnot. And this is their newer version. And I have their first version of the S Gen L. The S Gen L is the 32-bit one. The Gen L is the 8-bit one. So, but in general, in my opinion, I believe MKS makes a better quality board. They don't cut as many corners. They use parts that are from a little bit better companies, more reputable companies, instead of like their MOSFET supplier. That Winstock brand kind of sketches me out because of the weird failures I've had with them personally and what I've seen other people have. Like I had a 1.3, SKR 1.3, and was putting it together, turned it on, and the MOSFET started hitting over 200 degrees Celsius in about 30 seconds and then started smoking. And that was on a live stream, and I removed it because I got tired of the trolls getting pissed off because I said something bad about an SKR board. And I just really don't care. If you want to buy them, you can buy them. I just don't trust them, and I've had now 2 SKR boards with issues just from the 1.3, 1.4 series, and their SKR E3 Mini, it took me 3 boards before I got one that actually worked. The first 2 were DOA, they had bad drivers, and the third one actually worked, and I ended up not using it because I don't feel like changing my boards out all the time. There's a lot of people that buy the SKRs and they're like, I'm on my 3rd one, and it's like, at that point I would have just bought a better board because I don't want to be, I want to use my printer. I don't want to be working on the damn thing all the time. So, but to each their own. Just because I don't like them doesn't mean you guys can't use them. Oh wait, might have to put the motor on. I mean, I could put that in. It's just going to make putting the motor on more difficult. And working on this tiny little area over here is so much worse than working on that nice big desk. It's okay, we'll make do. Where'd the motor go? Here's the motor. All right. Put the motor on. From a pallet store. I don't know what a pallet store is. Is that like return stuff? If it's like return stuff, I wouldn't be messing around with. I wouldn't be messing around with a returned SKR in any machine. I feel like that's just asking for trouble. I'm assuming that's what you mean by pallet store, like they're like kind of like odds and ends and returns, that kind of stuff. There we go. So you see how that actually went in? I loosened up the 2 screws holding the motor. So I do this because I want everything to kind of align itself. Because if you just put it all together, it might be out of alignment. And then you get a bunch of weirdness. So whereas if you just let it all kind of settle in place, you know, jiggle it around a little bit, let it level out. And then you go back and tighten it down once it's found its happy place. You get a printer that is aligned and moves smoothly better. So, yeah, I genuinely wish there weren't so many like weird and just bad failures with those, because like the feature set and the price is great, but that's also why I'm looking at these, and I have, here, let me show you, I literally have a box of them and drivers here for testing. Because I'm looking at carrying these in our shop, but I will not sell something unless I've actually used it and can vouch for it. So this has got to go on one of my machines here, and it'll be going on my ABS machine. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally cool with buying like return stuff. It's just when it comes to like, I don't know, like hard drives, solid state drives, like computer electronics, I won't mess around with. Printer boards are kind of in that same category. Especially when you're talking about the ones that are so cheap to begin with. Like, I don't know, if you got, you guys, probably pretty much everybody in the chat's got more free time than I do, so, you know, I'm a different use case. But, you know, I know there are some people that they just want their shit to work, and, you know, they don't mind paying a little extra money if it means saving them time. And I just realized I already tightened these down. I'm sitting here talking to you guys. No, this isn't going to need a spacer on the Z-rail. Look at one finger. Look at that. Yeah, tell me that's not smooth. It's almost like I've done this before. Just a few times. More times than I am willing to admit or can even recall, to be completely honest. Now, here's the thing. Do I have a fitting? I mean, I have fittings here, but this was a new machine. Are they in here? Are they in here? They're in here. Okay, I got worried there for a second. I was like, that would suck, especially if you were a new user. And I just realized I forgot to put the carriage on. Womp womp. That's okay. We're good. We can get around that. Because I'm not taking the gantry apart again. I will tell you that right now. I always forget to do this. I can't tell you how many under threes I've done this where I forget to put the carriage on before I put the extrusion on. You know, yeah, the bottom wheel. I was thinking about that, but I didn't realize I had access to it. It's been a while since I've really gotten intimate with one of the hardware parts of this, so. But yeah, you can just loosen this up, and it should have enough play to then slip it on. Just make sure the wire, here's the one thing, and you obviously can't easily undo this once it's on. Make sure the wire's not all tangled up, before you put this on. I think that's going to be the best orientation I'm going to get. So I should be able, I've done this before. Might have to loosen up a little bit more. Or I can just take it off. Whatever. There we go. It's all loosey-goosey now. There we go. Yay! Yeah, that wheel's got a flat spot on it. We can replace that later. All right. So let's get the belt on. Oh, we're upside down. Apparently I have this camera inverted in software. There we go. All right, so let's get our belt on. What's up, Roulette? Long time no see. It's been a little while since I did the stream. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stream doing this because it's not hard. Done it a couple times, and hang out and chat with everybody. All right, so there we go. Belt's on. Let me get the tension or the idler. TMC 22.8s, I believe those are up to 2 amps per motor peak current. I think it's like 1.7 amp continuous. More than you would need on an FDM machine. Well, at least the ones that it's intended for. Going to a higher amp motor isn't really going to yield you anything, especially on a Creality printer. Aside from a lighter wallet. But I mean, if you're looking to lighten up your wallet, then I got a website you can go to. All right. So usually what I'll do is I'll put my finger on here. So I got one of these screws almost locked in, just enough to keep it centered, and then I tighten it down, and then do the other one. There we go. Moving pretty smooth. Let's go ahead and put a little bowden clip on. Our extruder fitting on. How many printers do I run off one electrical outlet? It really depends on the machines. Ender 3 Pros, we can get away with. Now, if you heat them all up at the same time, you can get away with like 6 or 7 on a 20 amp. And that's at 110, 115 volts, 120, whatever you want to call it. America. But like we have 12 on 120 amp circuit, and while we cannot heat them all at the same time, if we stagger the startup of them, they drop down to about an amp and a half during printing. So it's manageable, but if you want to be on the safe side, I wouldn't put more, like, and this is printers with DC beds. If you have printers with AC beds, you'd be lucky to get 2 or 3 printers on a 15 amp, maybe 4 on a 20 amp. I have a device called a kilowatt, and you plug it into the wall or an outlet, you plug the device into there, and then it gives you the amperage and wattage that the device is pulling, so you can use that to gauge. Now, one thing you want to remember is, even though you have like a 15 amp or a 20 amp circuit, the wiring is rated for 80% the ampacity, so meaning if you have a 20 amp circuit, you can only use 80% of that for continuous draw without screwing things up. So that would be 16 amps continuous draw on a 20 amp circuit. And then 15 amps would be like 9.5, if I'm doing my maths correctly. Am I? Oh, 12. I'm special. I'm not doing my math correctly. So 15 times 0.8 is 12. 20 times 0.8, yeah, 16. So, yeah, we run them off of UPSs. We've got a bunch of 1500 VA, 900 watt UPSs, and we could run 3 Ender 3s per UPS to give you an idea. All right, so I need to put the LCD screen on, which should use these bolts here. Isn't home electrical pretty standardized? Yeah, for the most part, I believe so. Oh, and it's officially a stream. I dropped something. It's not a stream unless Tim drops something. And these are 3 mils. Question is, why did they give me 4 of these? Oh, you know what? I think the spool holder uses 2. If I recall correctly, they used to use different bolts for the filament holders than the LCDs, but I guess it's more cost effective to have more of the same part, which is true. Get quantity discounts. All right. So let's get the PSU on here. And this does have the newer XT60s, the AMAS ones. These are actually decent. And as far as I know, there are no known fires from these. Whereas they had those really jank knockoff ones. Mobile homes, yeah, I would not be running too many printers in a mobile home. That's usually aluminum wiring. And aluminum does not conduct electricity as well as copper. As far as I know, and I'm not an electrician, but as far as I know, I believe the only time you can use aluminum in a house is for feeders. Or like service entrances, like basically your big loads coming into your panels, but not for branch circuits. I probably know more electrical stuff than I think I do, but I'd rather assume I don't and doubt myself, because if you make an oopsie with that, the end result could be catastrophic depending on what happens. So I'd rather assume I know less and double check things. All right, let's get all our stepper wires connected. Where are they? They're under here somewhere. And remember, on the LCD, you got 3 headers, EXP1, 2, and 3, the Ender 3s, and the Ender 5s. Use EXP3, which is the one all the way on the left of the screen. And look, even though I tried, I still got a little bit of a twist with my damn wire here. Oh, this is triggering. This is really triggering me. Oh no. Oh no. I'll sort this out later. I tried so hard. You know, I think it was probably when I was messing with the wheel, I lost orientation. All right. Should be all the connections except for the ZN stuff, which I will put on this printer just for testing, but I'm also going to fit an easy ABL onto it at some point. Probably going to do that tomorrow. But I have new firmware for our easy board I have to test, so that'll be getting, this will be getting an easy board in at some point. I also got a Creality 422 and a 427. Don't expect a 427 firmware from us anytime soon because that's an aftermarket one that Creality sells, and so we're treating it the same way we do at the Big Tree Tech ones. So in that you use Marlin, and if you're going to use like the Easy ABL, you follow our guide. It'd be great if like the manufacturers that make these aftermarket boards could actually, you know, provide some better support for them. Resin Easy Flex, we've already been working on that, and I already have samples on the way. So long before that other company announced theirs. The hardest part was trying to find a magnet that could withstand the suction and didn't get degraded by the resin, but we have some prototypes on the way to test. The first ones didn't go so well. They didn't hold up. But yes, we are working on it. And I have quite a few resin machines here to do bed sizing with. All right. I'm not going to put the spool holder on, but let's make sure our switch is on 110. It's not. It's on 230. So hang on. I got to move my preview so I can show you guys or see what I'm showing you. So this is on 230 right now. I'm in the US, so I went on 115. Now, if you set it to leave it on 230 and you plug it in on 115, it'll power up. Usually won't damage anything. But if it's the other way around, things are going to go bad. So that's why they ship these machines with the 230 switch. Also why we ship our power supplies we sell with the 230 set, because we don't know where they're going in the world when they get sold. All right, let's see. Yep, we got LCD. Let's go ahead and see if the basic functions work. Oh, that's nice and loud. All right, well, the basics work. Let's see if it heats. I'm gonna set the bed a little hotter. And the nozzle. There we go. So that's about it. You guys want to ask some questions? Now's the time. I just wanted to get this thrown together, so I have a machine to test firmware before throwing it out to all you guys, and hoping for the best. It's not how I do things here. Why things take a little bit longer because I want to make sure they actually work. I don't know how much of a delay there is. So boards I'm going to be playing with, I've got a 422. Where's that 422 board? Yeah. So I've got the 422 with the HR4988. You can see the heatsink's missing because I pulled it off. And I've got the 427 here, which if you look at first glance, they look identical. And as far as I can tell, they pretty much are, aside from the drivers. So, but yeah, and then I will also be doing some testing with the Easy Board in here too. So this printer probably is only going to have like one screw in its motherboard because it's going to be swapped out so often. All right, so everything heated. So all the basic tests worked. So this printer is good for me to mess with. I don't know when I'm releasing 2.0 for the 8-bits. The first ones that are going to be supported by it are this one and the Ender 3 V2, which if you guys check on the TH3D Studio GitHub, there is code up there. And I also just finished doing testing on putting the Easy Board into there too. So that'll be, and that's all built on Marlin 2061, which came out 13 or 14 days ago. So, yeah, I can already feel that it's still sticking, but it's weaker. So I'm testing out, I'm glad you asked about the Big Tree Tech. So the amount of work it would take to get them to do a board that has the MOSFETs I want and a little bit better screw terminals and stuff and caps, the amount of time and cost wouldn't be worth it when this exists. This is the S-Gen L V2 that it doesn't have Phoenix contacts for the screw terminals, but these are a little more robust and a little more solid. They don't have as much flex on them as the Big Tree Tech ones. And these also have much better brand of MOSFETs on here. As you can see, they're not putting a giant one on here just to make it look like it'll handle more current. They just have ones on here that handle more current. And like this board is built really well. And all the parts on here check out, like the voltage regulators, this little analog digital converter drives the MOSFETs, meaning they don't look like they're knockoffs, where some of the stuff on the Big Tree Tech ones is, I'm not going to say that they're fake or real or whatever, but the markings look considerably different from the other ones, and I just don't feel like dealing with potentially having parts that are not up to par. And I've sold MKS stuff before. We've had really low failure rates with MKS stuff, and these are built pretty well. I was told by the MKS rep, but I don't see it in any of their literature. I was told they're using 2-ounce copper, and it's only on the outers, so it's 2-ounce, half, 2-ounce. But honestly, it doesn't really matter on this board because your drivers are socketed. And they have a heatsink here. So these are MKS's 2209s. And you can see they come with a nice big-ass heatsink here. So it really doesn't matter that much, the copper count of this board. I've already done some thermal testing on here, and the traces stay cool, the MOSFETs stay cool. So this is already looking better than the SKR stuff. And even simpler, there's one version of this, version 2. So there's S-Gen L and there's S-Gen L V2. So they've made two versions. The V2 has a 1769 and the version 1 has a 1768. So yes, it is possible to use a 427, but you would have to make firmware for it to make it run. You could do it, but you would have to set the firmware up for that particular machine, because as far as I know, they only have for this, they only have firmware for the Ender 3 and the 5, I believe. We're talking about doing firmware for this board and then having it like either bundled with the Easy ABL kits or just have it as like a donation. Obviously, it's open source, so people could share it then. But putting time into supporting somebody else's product that's not a stock board is not something that we have time for right now. So, but if you do want a board that actually works with the CR10, that has actual support and a warranty and is better quality than these, we have our Easy Board, which we just got back in stock. So, and you get actual tech support, not just, send an email to China and you hear back from a week and they don't even understand what your request is. We have actual people here in the US that do technical support. So if you have questions with the installation or troubleshooting, you can get people who actually know what they're talking about, because the guys we hired to work for us, they know about 3D printers. They use them. So, but yeah, I mean, you can use any board with any printer. It's just, can you set the software up? And physically mount it and do the wiring. A control board is a control board. It's just how you set it up. Yeah. Hey, Joel, they said that guy standing behind you, he knows printers. So, funny story. Joel's a buddy of mine that I've known for, what, 15, 16 years? Yeah, at least.
Yeah,
Because I met you when I was like, actually more than that. I think I met you when I was 13. So I'm 31.
It was probably like early 2000s.
Yeah. So almost 20 years. But Joel has experience with soldering, with computers, with electronics, and mechanical. So I have him here on a part-time basis. He actually is getting ready to launch his own little business doing tube amps. So if you guys are into that kind of stuff, let me know and I can send you his info or send him your info. But he was just looking for some extra stuff to do and was interested in the printers. And he picked up on it really quick. So he's put together 5 Ender 3 Pros so far and done a fantastic job with literally, here's the parts, here's the guides for him, figure it out. And he hasn't asked me too many questions and he's done everything correctly. So I'm a pretty happy camper. But yeah, he gets to play with some printers. Oh, here we go. Yep, there we go. It was bound to happen. So, hi, dog. There we go. So anyways, you guys can expect some firmware from us early next week for the Ender 3 and the 5 with the 422 boards that they're shipping with now. And hopefully the Ender 3 V2. Those are all using similar boards. Well, it's the same board, but the LCD is different on the Ender 3 V2. But I do have them, like, they're working, they're printing. I just want to do some more testing. That's one of the reasons why I got this. Because I can actually just take the Ender 3 V2's LCD and put it on this one, and it's essentially the same printer. So for testing, it's great. But I also have video footage recorded. I got about 70% of it recorded on setting up VS Code. And then I have to make documentation on actually setting the firmware up because it's going to be a little more involved. So I can just show you guys here. So let me share my screen here, main monitor. So how this is going, if you see here, I understand it's small. I have a 1440 monitor. Hopefully you guys see it. So right now you've got all the configuration files. Actually, I can just show you on GitHub. Because all this is on GitHub. So this isn't officially released. It's available, so if you want to poke around, you can. But this is where the new Unified firmware is. It's just going to be called Unified 2. And you can see here, Unified 2 firmware. If you click here, I actually have a support article here that I wrote on Tuesday going over all the different things. A step-by-step guide on setting up VS Code, and then the prerequisites, so installing the extension, and then if you don't have Python, going over how to install Python, and all the steps for that, and then you have a working VS Code installation, so that documentation is completed. There will be a video to go along with this as well. This is what I have so far tested with this firmware, and again, this is not officially released, so if you want to play with it you can, but don't be contacting the support for it because this isn't officially out yet. It's just on GitHub. So while you'll be able to download it from GitHub, we will have download links on our actual website for each printer, and I'll show you why. So I've put all the STL files in here on the actual GitHub just to make organization a little bit easier. I have some installation guides on here too. You can see these are on here. So like for our Easy ABL, that's all in here. So here's how the configuration is going to work. So with Platform.io, you have to have a file called platformio.ini, which specifies your build environment. So you can manually change this, but depending on what board you have to know what this value is. So what we're doing here is I have these printer configuration files, okay? And the folders are labeled for what they are. So here's the Easy Board Lite for the Corellian Solval machines. And inside here, you'll see a platform INI file and a folder named Marlin with the configuration file. So if you guys are already used to using our firmware, it's going to look very similar. I've tried to make it look and work the same way everybody's used to with firmware from us. So same type of settings. So all you would do is you would download from our website. If you get it from GitHub, you would have to copy this folder and this file into this firmware folder. And then that will set it up for that particular machine and board combination. And then you can open it in VS Code. I don't know if I'm just smelling like new printer smell or if this thing, I just realized this is still heated. Well, we're gonna let it just sit there heated because I don't know if that's just new printer smell or if something's gonna go. But we'll just let it ride. I got a fire extinguisher. So that's what we're working on here. So this is Marlin 206, and just for people's reference, if you look in the Marlin folder, there's a folder called stock Marlin files. So you can see the original Marlin configuration files we started with for this firmware. So if there's like a option that you want to add back in that's not there, if you know what you're doing, they're here for the configuration H and the ADV file. We still have our backend file here, and this has all the shared settings for all the different machines, and there are notes in here. So we've kind of broken this up. Like these settings are all contiguous across all the printers that we're going to support. So this will be shared by all the machines. It makes keeping things updated easier. And if we look at the printer configuration files, and let's say, so here's like the Ender 3 version 2 with the 422 board and the D-Win LCD. That's the color LCD. Dog, why are you like this? She's forcing her love on me. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay. So, in the Ender 3 V2 422 one, you'll notice there's a zip file. This is the LCD firmware update that we've modified. So it's branded with our logo and the Marlin logo, and it's compatible with the firmware. Now, if we go into here and you look at the configuration file, you'll see it's much simpler. So this is going to be less cluttered than our current one because we're going to break out the machine configs into different files, and you just copy or download whatever you need. So it's going to be a lot cleaner. So you can see here, this is for the Ender 3 V2. That's all that's in here. We do already have a probe mount for the Ender 3 V2. It's currently on mine, and I've already measured the offsets for it. It's just not done yet because I don't have all the documentation done. But anyways, same kind of stuff you guys are already used to seeing in our current firmware. But if you notice here where there's this big thing that says, you know, do not touch anything below this comment, core machine settings are below. Do not modify these unless you know what you're doing. And I mean that. So, but all the settings for these particular machines that are in this particular config file, they're all right here. So these are like the main settings you're going to be messing with for the particular machine. But you don't need to touch anything below this file if you're just using the firmware. So, but that's where we're at. Like if you go to github.com/th3dstudio, we have a couple repositories on here. So you see we have there's the one for the King Rune, our Marlin 1191. This is our current 2.0 release, which only supports the Easy Board right now. So this is going to encompass not only the machines we support, but also our Easy Board, since it's all Marlin 2. Makes it easier to keep everything updated if we only have one core set of files update instead of a million different branches. So this U2R1 will be going away. This will not receive any more updates because we're almost done with the actual unified firmware. So these two will get retired at some point, and then this one will take over. And you can see here, this is a 20X branch, and it's a fork of Marlin because it's Marlin all on the back end. We just put our own lipstick on the pig of code. So, but that's where we're at. So, yeah, so we'll have these are the target machines for release next week. With this firmware, once I get some more testing completed and documentation done. The important thing being documentation, because I know the firmware's, I'm ready to say the firmware's done. But there's more polish I need to do. Package it up, put it on the site, put it in our help center. So this GitHub will just serve as a reference, because what I will do is I will pre-package these all, and there will be a separate download for the Ender 3 V2, the Ender 3 with the 422 board. So you guys aren't going to have to copy files. But if you do download from the GitHub, you'll have to copy files. So, but we'll be adding more machines. So we'll also be doing 8-bit machines on here too. But these are the first ones we want to get hammered out because they're becoming urgent. There's machines out there that people are wanting to put ABL kits on and other upgrades from us, and they can't because the firmware from us doesn't exist. Now, I think Creality has firmware on their site, but we all know how good Creality is at doing firmware. So, that's about it. So it's kind of a little hangout. Watch me cobble together an Ender 3 just for doing some testing. So literally this machine, it's not really going to print much. Maybe a couple benches here and there, but it's just so I have a printer that can be taken apart and worked on, and it doesn't matter if it's down or not. And that's about it. So I appreciate everybody for stopping by. And if you guys want to be updated on when the new firmware is out for the Ender 3 V2, for the Ender 3, Ender 5 with the 422 boards, you can subscribe to our Twitter or Facebook page or Instagram. We'll post updates there. We also have a news section on our website. It'll get posted there. We do have a mailing list too if you want to sign up for that. I probably will send out an email about this. We try not to spam people too much. I definitely underutilize our mailing list, but I don't want to like alienate people by spamming them. But I feel like this is a big enough release. It's a big enough deal because this is a major update, and I think people would like to know about it. So anyways, I will catch you guys later, and if I don't see you again before the weekend, I wish you all a happy weekend, and as always, happy printing. I'll see you guys later. Bye.